Let's just go to the US first, where I'm joined by political commentator and comedian Alex Stein. Alex, thank you for joining us. When you first heard the news, I assume you were quite probably watching the rally. What was your initial reaction?
Well, a lot of people are acting like they're surprised, but Tucker Carlson, has stated this multiple times, who is a friend of mine, a guy that I respect, that obviously this is the last option, is going to shoot Donald Trump. And let's be real, like when you look at this situation, this is a serious issue for the Secret Service. There's only one other roof across at the whole entire event that even had a, shootable lane to the president. And they had to wait till he shot him. So for me, I just think that this goes back to the DEI. Instead of hiring the best Secret Service you saw, it was a woman trying to carry Donald Trump off the stage, and he wanted to stand up and walk. So I'm not saying this is some sort of inside job. I'm just saying that this is a lack of professionalism by the Secret Service that doesn't care about actually protecting Donald Trump, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, well, we're going to get into that a little further later, because Evelyn Ray, who's joining us on the program, is a former copper, and we'll get her expert analysis on it. But you'd have to ask the question. I mean, that would have to be one of the biggest cock-ups by the Secret Service that we have ever seen.
And it really just doesn't make sense, because when you saw that once he got shot and they piled on top of him, later on Fox News edited this part out, but they even said, what do we do? Because, they practice these role-playing games, these strategies, but once it actually happens, they were in, a state of disbelief, in my opinion. And Donald Trump was the only one that actually looked strong out of all of those Secret Service. So, like you guys said, this could help Trump win in a landslide. But at the same time, I think this opens the door to another attack. And I hope that doesn't happen. But I'm just saying there's going to be copycat-type people. They're going to see the type of momentum or the attention that this shooter's getting. And I don't even want to say his name. But I wouldn't be surprised if something doesn't happen at the RNC this week, or something doesn't happen on the campaign trail, because they've already tried to throw him in jail. They've tried to discredit him every way possible. And the only true way to stop Donald Trump from becoming president of the United States is for somebody to kill him.
And this is the next thing, right? I mean, we haven't had an assassination attempt on a US president, former or otherwise, since 1981. Of course, that was Ronald Reagan. So we've had a long period of time where we've felt that things are reasonably safe. Suddenly, very quickly, that has changed. What does that do for American politics more broadly?
Well, let me tell you what's going to happen. If that bullet would have been 2 centimeters to the left, or just in any other direction, and would have gone through his skull, the deep state, or the quote unquote people that want to make us mad and fight with each other, would have gotten what they would have wanted, because there would have been some sort of civil war. If Donald Trump gets assassinated, people are going to go to the streets, and they are going to cause a lot of damage, because they are very frustrated. Donald Trump stands up for populism. He stands up for the middle class. And this is what they want. They want to take him out so that the people here in America will be fighting with each other instead of actually going to the politicians and trying to fix the problems that we're having. And sadly, we were about 1 centimeter away from literally having a civil war here in America.
And I said to someone today, I feel like it wasn't just Donald Trump who dodged a bullet at that rally. It was the entirety of the US, because if that bullet, as you say, had gone through his head and he had been killed, we wouldn't be sitting here talking tonight or this morning, your time, about what this all means for America. We'd be talking about buildings being burnt to the ground.
You're exactly right. I mean, buildings burned to the ground, people would not stop. It would be a terrible tragedy. I mean, I was not alive when JFK was assassinated, but my dad talks about it. This event that just happened felt a lot like 9/11 that we avoided. This is like a 9/11 that we avoided, but I had that same sense of vulnerability, same sense of sadness, just seeing him bleeding from his ear. But if he would have been dead, America, as it looks today, would have been a totally different country. And now, of course, it changes a little bit with this, but I think Donald Trump's going to rebound and come out stronger than ever. And I do think he's going to win the 2024 election, but we are literally an inch away from changing the entire course of history. It's really mind blowing when you actually just look at it and start paying attention, because asking some people after it happened, I went out here and I'm in Tampa and I'm here on vacation, and I went and I talked to some people. Some people didn't even know it happened. Some people were flippant, like, oh, well, I wish he got shot. So it's a very divided country that we have right now. People are struggling, and people do look at Trump as a villain. Some people look at him as a hero. So shooting him would have only divided this nation much further.
Yeah, most definitely. And this sentiment that a lot of people, I'm sure, do have, that they wish he had been shot and killed. This event will do nothing to allay that or change that. But the question now is, given how high the temperature is there any way to turn it down?
No, there's no way to turn it down because, listen, when you saw CNN report on this, they reported on it as Trump falling down after hearing loud noises. The media here in America is the biggest fraud of any corporation, of anybody that exists, because they will literally look at us in the face and lie and try to misconstrue what actually happened. So until the American media actually reports on stuff truthfully, we're just going to be in a constant state of confusion. So it's very sad. I just can't believe the media would even say that Trump fell down. And even Joe Biden, it took him hours and hours and hours for him to admit that this was even an assassination attempt. So imagine living in a country where we have no transparency. And that's going to be the big key to this, is giving us transparency on what really happened in Pennsylvania.
Well, you mentioned Joe Biden there. This was a little bit of his belated presser today.
There's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick. It's sick. It's one of the reasons why we have to unite this country. We cannot allow for this to be happening. We cannot be like this. We cannot condone this. But the bottom line is that the Trump rally was a rally that he should have been able to be conducted peacefully without any problem. But the idea that there's political violence or violence in America like this is just unheard of. It's just not appropriate. And everybody must condemn it.
What was your view of his presser, Alex? I watched a little bit of CNN earlier today and they were talking about how strong he was, but I'm sure there's plenty of people who feel quite differently about it.
Well, it took him forever to respond because they probably had to wake him up. He was probably dead asleep. And Joe Biden, I mean, let's just be real. He wouldn't be very sad if Donald Trump got shot. I mean, I hate to say it. And I know that Joe Biden would like to get shot, but he does not care about Donald Trump. Donald Trump is standing in between him and the White House. So, you know, any sort of empathy that he tries to show for Donald Trump, I just think that is fake news in my personal opinion. So Joe Biden is a senile president that is not even calling the shots, you know, not just his performance on the debate stage, but just his performance as president. Our country is getting flooded with illegal immigration. People can't afford groceries. They can barely afford to fill up their gas tank. When Trump was in office, gas was cheap. So this is a controlled demolition of American greatness. And Donald Trump is what's standing in the way of this country collapsing, in my personal opinion. So I don't think Joe Biden would care at all if Donald Trump was taken out.
Well, you know, as Trump often says, I'm standing between you and them, and that's exactly what he did today. He took a bullet for it. Unfortunately, some in the crowd also took a bullet, and we've lost one person as a result of that. But look, it's going to be an interesting rest of the campaign. Alex, I know it's Sparrow's fart over there. Thank you for getting up so early in the morning and joining us. I appreciate your time.